Hello friends, welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to a Q&A session where we will be answering questions. There's lots of fun people here today. I appreciate you all for being here. Let's first just talk about what are we going to do. So if you go to vox.coding.garden, this is a collection of all the questions that have been asked over the past few weeks. Currently there are 120 questions. But we have a way of making sure we're only answering questions for people that are actually here. I'll talk about that. But if you go to this website, you can see all of the questions that have been asked. And up at the top, you can see the chat commands that you can run. So if you see a question you like, you can upvote it. Oh, look at that. New question. Nice. Thank you, Lucemans. But if you do !upvote followed by the number that you see on the left, it will upvote that and it will be more likely that I answer that question. Yeah, there's 120 questions, 83 ideas. Yeah, there's a lot here. And if anybody comes along and they're like, hey, how do I get to that website? You can show them that they can just type that in the chat, !Vox, and you'll get a link. Let's say hello, because there's lots of people here. Can we have lo-fi music in the background? No. Mainly because I upload these to YouTube afterwards, and I don't want any copyright violation. I've never really had music in the background. Let's say hi, and then we will discuss all of the wonderful things happening on my screen, and I'll tell you how you can participate in all of that. But first, we've got some new friends here in the Coding Garden. Thank you, S Junior DVD. DVND for that follow, and Nan. I like naan bread. Naan bread is good. It may not be what you are, but I appreciate you. Thank you for the follow. How do I get CJ to see my idea? You can submit it. I mean, if you submit it under ideas, one day. Oh, hello, Lucemans. One day we're going to have a stream where I just go through the ideas and pick a few and try to actually like implement them. Yeah, it's pretty early for me. And thank you, Dante, for that follow as well. And Sven, thanks for being here. All right. First, we must say hello. So if you want to say hi, if you want me to acknowledge you, say hi, hello, hey, morning, afternoon, or what's the word of today? Beans? No, not beans. Rain. The word is rain. If you say any of these words, or if words that you say have those words in them, I will acknowledge you. And can someone run the explain LED command? Because you all can mess with the LED while we're doing this. Hello, Alca. Welcome to the stream. What's up, Nicholas, and Ben Aaron Dahmer, and Ripley, and Funny Dude, and Smack Rebel, and Newin, and Gaming Diamond, and Earthon, and the Sheeboss, and Smiley, and Terminal Bash. Welcome back, Terminal Bash. It's been a few streams since I've seen you. And hello, Irradiated Unicorn, and Aries, and Being Pranjal, and Salamani, and Casper, and Leo Leon, and Ramoon. And this is a test. Nice. Yeah, you're from Germany. That's very cool. Or you may not be from Germany. You're saying you're from Germany, which is cool. And we'll explain how you can put a country flag in your chat message in a second. Hello, Lakshman. An undefined nullish. That's a cool name. I like it. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of people are pretty new. I didn't used to have that intro screen that you saw. What's up, Cozy? Boga, hey. Cozy Leet. Nice. I got this. Yeah, so I'll talk about setting status too, but I'll show you the status of my message is CJ is trying his best, which is actually a reference to Jarvis Johnson, who's a YouTuber. Jarvis is trying his best. Gazija, what's up? Cool, yeah, Gazija mentioned they had some sort of accomplishment. Congrats, Gazija, I forgot what it was. And what's up, Doc? How's it going? My ISP is going to drop internet in an hour? No! That's unfortunate, Revive Newt. Do you have a plan? Do you have a book ready? Do you have all the things downloaded you need because you're not going to have internet? I was not prepared the last time my internet went out, so it was a little jarring. Yeah, so you can set your status and then it appears below your message. What's up, Ed and Ramoon and Lucemans? Yeah, so in the overlay, the messages go in a reverse order. Yeah, what's up, Shines11? Proxin? My daily routine is pretending to work for 3 or 4 hours, doing the work I had planned for those 4 hours in 1 hour, and then going back to doing nothing. You know, that's pretty much what I do too, Burn Simpson. What's up? Good morning. Hello, Hippo Viva. Yeah, what's up, Mr. Agent Miyazaki? Anything is an instrument if you put your mind to it. Yeah, Alca was curious if mayonnaise was an instrument. I think you can make it an instrument. There's a YouTube video of somebody doing All Star by Smash Mouth with mayonnaise. It's ridiculous. What's up, Lucemans? Yeah, and it's pretty. Most people, it's really hard to have a daily routine nowadays. What's up, Ripley, Boga Hey, and VV Michael? How's it going? And Callum, welcome back. And Smack Rebel, and Julian, and Guan the Third. What's up? And Matrix. Pranjal is working on a project which uses Google Speech to Text S to T. If you know how to improve the accuracy of transcribing numbers, please help. Oh, I've never done that. Sounds interesting though. What's up, Catherine? How's it going? I don't think we're gonna expire the questions. I think we're going to. I mean, I like the idea. Like, we currently have a way of making sure that I'm only answering questions for people that are here, and I think that's fine. I don't know. What's up, Anestra? Welcome. 21 hosts? What? Did I get notifications for all of those? Thanks, Alca. I didn't know that your bot could do that. That's pretty cool. And CSX Daniel, hello. Procrastinating with CJ. What's up? And Mint Jim, how's it going? Procrastinating with CJ. If you put your idea in your status, I'll see it on every message, but don't do that because that could be annoying. What's up, Mint Jim and Mark and Gazija? Hello, Superboy123. And welcome, Undefined Knowledge. Yeah, glad you could be here. Beans. Welcome, P10 Designs. Glad you could be here too. Found me on YouTube. Oh. Well, thank you, Lucemans. Yeah, so the thing is, I'm streaming on Twitch now, and I'm trying to find ways to create things that would make good YouTube content, and something like a code challenge with a timer that makes good YouTube content. A lot of people don't get that it was a challenge, and they're like pointing flaws in all of my logic. Like, here's the thing. If I took an hour or two to actually plan a URL shortener, like plan the database, plan the design, I could probably implement it very legitimately within an hour or two. But that was an hour of completely unplanned on-the-fly coding. It is fun. It's fun to watch. I don't know. If you all think of something that's YouTube content worthy today, let me know so we can make it a separate video. What's up, Callum and Andres? How's it going? And thank you, HH Zor, for that follow. Sun. Rain. What's up, Melanai? And Irox. Wow. Rain. What's up? Element here. How's it going? And OG Jake. SP Dean. Rain. You spelled rain wrong, but you spelled hi correctly, so my thing picked that up. What's up, Gaming Diamond? Afternoon. Rain here all morning and night. Yeah. And Jonah Joe, how's it going? And Franny OSS. And Happy Jojo, how's it going? VV Michael. Reekster, hi from Germany. It's not raining here. That's good. It's raining in my heart. Hello, Monoloto. What's up, Doc? And Raj. And Sven. Nice. Nice regular expression. I appreciate you. It's raining beans. You know, I mean, this just reminds me of, there's this, I saw it first on YouTube Haiku, which is a really cool subreddit you should check out if you haven't seen it. But I think it came from a YouTube channel. A guy put a bunch of cans of beans in his computer, and then he called technical support, and it's gosh darn hilarious. What's up, YSJ? And Mark, how's it going? Oh, wait, are things happening? We got support events? Did I miss it? Oh, wow. Oh, my sound is off. Thank you so much, Revive Newt. I'll be right back. Okay, I should actually hear it if it happens. But Revive Newt with the gifted subs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 gifted subs. 5 tier 1 sub. And 1 tier 2 sub to Leo Leon. Thank you very much, Revive Newt. Sorry I didn't notice it when it happened. Mono Loito with the resub. Can't find the cancel button for 2 months now. And Hacks also with the 2-month resub. Thank you all very much. Appreciate ya. What's up? I'm Nicole and H.H. Zor and Bogahay. Hey, Bogahay. Bogahay. Hello, Smiley and David. Yeah, glad you could be here. Hello, GM Awesome. And thank you, Shrinka. Thank you for that follow. Hello, Slims from work. You're slacking off. That's okay. It's fine to take a break every now and then. What was the HTML tag that makes something slide across the screen? A marquee, yeah. I got you. Nikoma says, I got to know you from the challenge video, and I wonder if you'll do something like that again soon. Yeah, the thing is, we just got to come up with an idea. Like, what is something that is doable within an hour? And then I'll try to do that thing. We could maybe do one of those today, but we just have to come up with a decent idea. And hello, Cheyenne. Because that particular challenge video, it happened in the moment. Like, somebody mentioned something else, and I was like, you know what? I could build a URL shortener. And then we just did it. We set the timer. Well, actually, we bought the domain before that video started, and then we set the timer and just built the thing. But yeah. And hello, Mark. I would also save questions from other people until they were in chat. Yeah, I'll do that. That's the plan. It auto host? Oh, auto host. That's where all those hosts are coming from. And what's up, Arca and Trim and Varun? It's good to see you too. Linus Dev, how's it going? It's been a while. Yeah. Nice. And hello, Hacks, and thank you, Nerdle. Thank you for that follow. It rained yesterday. Yeah, it rained here too. And hello, Probably an Octopus. Boga, hey. How's it going? Random Nick from Cape Town. Welcome. Hello, Bad Boy. I am having a good morning. What's up, Quantum? Quantum with the Firefox avatar, which is very cool. Boga, hey. What's up, Bush? I found your channel 2 weeks ago, and you gave me life by teaching. Oh, thank you, Obey. I appreciate that. What's up, Mr. Demon Wolf? Check out Mr. Demon Wolf. He's a member of our live coders team. This is my break timer. We don't call a lot of attention to it, but this will show up every now and then, and it reminds us to take our hands off the keyboard, take a quick stretch, potentially stand up. I'm not going to stand up because my camera only goes to there. But yeah. Oh, and Master Agent Miyazaki, great work. Look at this. Wow. And Ruben, thank you for that follow. And we got one other follow. Who was it? ML Wilson. Welcome to the Coding Garden. Thank you for that follow. And what do we got over here? Oh, Hydrate. Varun. Cheers. These buttons are slow. All right, let's talk about all the things that you can do here on the Coding Garden. This is a very interactive show. Oh, nice. Yerba. This is the emote of what I'm drinking right now. Thank you, Smiley, for that hydrate. So, first thing. Oh, so something's up with the rewards. Like, I turned those things off. Yeah, they should be, they're paused. It's on, but it's paused. So if you try to buy it, then it won't let you. Thank you, Tux, for that follow. Baked beans. All right, first of all, you see people potentially landing in the garden here. This might be a good drop. Let's watch this happen. This is going to be a good drop. Here it comes. Here it comes. It's an okay drop. Okay drop. But who was that? You will see. It was Funny Dude. Great job, Funny Dude. And here comes Melanie. They're going to miss it just slightly. Just slightly. Yeah, but if you do !drop me, that will drop your avatar. And you'll see it fall from the sky. And if it lands here, your name will appear on screen for a few seconds. Look at all those chickens. Nice. Oh, wow. I had a great drop. Very, very nice. This is the Coding Garden. And Daniel, good job. Oh, Fiat Strand got knocked like right to the center. Great work. Good job, G Awesome and Fortrex and Bad Boy. Who else? Oh, good jobs, everyone. Great work. Great. Oh, it's Kit Boga. He just landed on the edge of the garden, though. He didn't exactly make it into the garden. Oh, I didn't get to use it, but is it just placechicken.com, Melanie? Placechicken.com? Oh, no. It's placechicken.versal.app, right? I didn't get to check it out. Yeah, okay. A drop game stream? Yeah, so a stream where we do nothing but drop. Okay, where are you pulling these images from? Because that's a weird one. Okay, those are chickens. That's awesome. I saw you posted it in Discord. I hadn't had a chance to take a look at it yet. Okay, so that's the drop game. That will be on the entire time. In about a minute, I'm going to clear it so we can start fresh, but that's the drop game. The other thing is you can see in my overlay, some people have country flags next to their name. You can see that I have the US and the JavaScript logo. Oh no! That's so unfortunate, Revive New. But have a wonderful. Wait, it's evening. I think it's evening for you. Have a good night, and hopefully all your internet issues will be resolved soon. Thank you very much for those gifted subs, and we'll see you around. But thanks for being here. Okay, so first off, I'll mention, if you do have a question for me, because this is a Q&A stream, you're going to want to use the chat commands, because that's pretty much the only way I'm going to see your message. So that gives you a link to the website where all of the questions show up, and then these are the chat commands where that you can run to get your question to show up on that site, because the chat moves fast. It's really, well, we lose a lot of it. But if you ask your question, it will be... not immortal. It'll be temporarily immortalized until it's no longer not on this website, so I don't lose it. And then the other thing is, yeah, you can set your country flag. So if you do !country followed by your 2-character country code or your country name, it will show a flag in your... What an oxymoron, right? It'll show the flag in your chat messages. And if you also do !team, there's that link. Scroll up in the chat. The chat's moving fast. But if you click this link, it has the name of all the different teams that you can join. Let's see what team I'm going to join today. You know, I was about to join Team Edge. I don't use Microsoft Edge, which is like the what do you call it? The replacement for Internet Explorer, but my Windows machine just updated and Edge has this new logo. So that's a thing. Test. Yeah, nice, everyone. Great job. Great job. Yeah, it has... I know that Edge is Chromium based. I think that's probably why they changed their logo to signify that. I guess I'll do node.js. That's going to be my team today. So if you do !team, followed by some team from that list, it will appear in your chat message. So the team goes right there, country flag goes there, and then you can also set your status. So Edge is fine. I'm just not going to use Edge. But you can see below my message right now, it says CJ is trying his best. You can set your status using !set status. Mayonnaise is an instrument. Alca, have you seen that YouTube video, Alca, of the person trying to play All-Star with mayonnaise? Yeah. Oh my. I have no idea. I don't use Edge. I don't know. Oh, that's unfortunate, Nazmul. Do I have transcoding? Is anyone able to set the what do you call it? Is anyone able to set the quality? Oh, you can. Oh, we've got transcoding, everybody. So if you're having buffering issues, try lowering the quality. And then the other thing you can do is under advanced, I think you can uncheck low latency. And if you uncheck low latency, you'll be a little bit behind, but it'll buffer less often. So yeah. Yeah. All right, am I missing anything? Oh yeah, there's the LED command. I think some people showed that, but this is a breadboard that's right here. This is my finger. It's on my desk here. By the way, I use a computer. But you can do !LED followed by 8 zeros or 1s. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it should turn off the first 4 and turn on the last 4. And you'll see that it'll do that. So yeah. And I think we have a define LED command. Yeah, there we go. So if any newbies come up in the chat and they're like, hey, what's that thing? Do !define LED and it will tell them exactly what it is. And if you do !define, yeah, there we go. There's define drop too. So if anybody comes in and they're like, what's all this drop? Kim with the raid. Hello, Kim Philpotts. Thank you very much for that raid. Welcome, raiders. We're just getting started. And hopefully, artist, thank you for that follow. But welcome. What were you working on? Is it weekly Xamarin mobile app? Very cool. Yeah. Well, welcome, raiders. We are going to be answering questions today. If you do !Vox, You can get a link to this question and answer site with the list of chat commands you can run. But all the questions show up here, and I do my best. I do my best to answer these questions. I don't know everything, but I know some things. And there's a lot of smart people in the chat too, so they can help you out. And all right, everyone in the chat, you are equipped to tell... Oh, hello, Simon. Did I miss your messages? Simon, I think, is chatting on Discord, and then his messages are being forwarded to Twitch. Oh, I don't know, but hello, Simon. And also, do we have any other live coders? Yeah, Mr. Demon Wolf's here, Alca's here. Cool. Yeah, there you go. Look at that Git icon. Okay, so, but yes, you are all equipped with the commands to help the new people that come. We have define LED, we have define drop game, we have exclamation mark Vox. You can only do one. Oh, you are on the live coders team. Nice. You have to say something for my bot to detect you. But late night here in Australia. But yeah. Welcome everyone, and definitely check out Kim Philpotts. I haven't seen your stream, but they're on the live coders team, and so am I. If you can see right there, there's a link to the live coders team. Thanks for that raid. I don't know everything, but I know some things. All right, let's get started. Okay, so if you have asked a question or you have a question on this webpage, type exclamation mark here in the chat. And anybody that has asked a question, this will bubble up to the chat, bubble up to the top. Now you only need to do this right now. In a minute, when I decide to answer the next question, you can type exclamation mark here again, but you don't need to spam with exclamation mark here. You should only do it if you actually have asked a question and you are here. All right, I'll give you like 2 more seconds to do that, and then we'll answer the first question at the top. Yeah, I only got to tune in for a little bit of it, but it was awesome to see the live coders on the front page. And all the talks I saw were awesome. Everyone did a ton of preparation, and everyone did great. He uses the Discord to Twitch bridge I was testing some time ago. Nice. Nice. All right, let's answer this first one. So this one comes from JonahJoe, who says, how to address issues related to the IE browser, as most of the code doesn't work there. Yeah, this is basically enterprise development in a nutshell. Like, the thing is, if you're building like new apps, brand new apps starting from scratch, you can basically say, I mean, it depends on where you work and what kind of app you're building, but you can say, we're not going to support IE because there's so many issues with it. We're only going to support Chrome or Firefox, or we're only going to support the latest browsers. And now with Edge is based on Chromium, so it like instantly gets support for all these things that IE doesn't support. So let's talk about, if you do need to support IE, what are some things that you can do? So you've probably heard of Polyfills. Polyfills, 1L? Polyfill, that's it. Polyfills are a way to add things to the browser that aren't supported natively. And Freeman with the raid. Welcome, raiders. Thanks for being here. We're currently answering questions. People in the chat, they can help you out. They'll tell you exactly what we're doing and how to get there and all that good stuff. Cool. So polyfills are a thing. So for instance, what is something that's not supported in IE? I think something even like object-defined property. I don't know, but I'll let you know some tools you can figure out to see what's supported and what's not. Caniuse.com. This website is fantastic. You can search for things, CSS features, JavaScript features, HTML features, and you can see what browsers they're supported in. So that's the first thing, is check out caniuse.com, because I believe they actually do sometimes link to polyfills. Yeah, like this is actually really new though. So let's find something like array map, or even like yeah. So let's search Array.prototype.map. Is that there? Okay, so that's in IE 11. It wasn't in IE 6. But so something like Array.prototype.map, or yeah, let's look at for each. I think all the higher order methods have been in there since ES5. What about like every? Yeah, they're all there. Regardless, this website will show you for some feature what browsers support it. And let's say you do need to support IE6 or IE8. What you can do is you can detect if this exists. And so there are certain things that are polyfillable. Polyfilled. Object.entries, that's definitely a newer one. Thank you, Arcooled. Yeah, this is very new. Well, not very new. Comparatively. Did I spell polyfill wrong? Okay, polyfill. Yeah, so in web development, a polyfill is code that implements a feature on web browsers that do not support that feature. So certain things are polyfillable, like potentially like object.entries, Array.prototype.reduce. The reason that these are polyfillable are that these are methods on built-in objects that, and in JavaScript, you can actually overwrite methods and add new methods to the built-in global objects. So because of that, and thank you, Smack Rebel, for that Twitch Prime sub. Very much appreciated. I'll check out Polyfill.io, sure. But those things you can add support for. So, and let's create a polyfill. Let's do it. We're gonna create. Let's create a polyfill. Let's vote on what polyfill we should create. I mean, we don't need it. We don't actually need it because we're in Chrome. But I'll show you how that how that detection works, and then there are existing libraries you can use. What should we polyfill? Did I spell that right? Array.prototype.flat. Hello, pink fluffy llama. Polyfill for math.clamp. Yeah, Doc polyfills this all the time. Hey, down. You be nice. Okay, so we could implement for each. We could implement map. We could implement object.entries. What else? Array.prototype. Yeah, I'm using the Firefox Step Edition, and this is capital Array. Array.prototype.map. We could try flat. That's like it's a hard challenge though. We could do like one level deep of array flatten or smoosh. Could we implement the map class? I guess we could, couldn't we? We technically could implement the map class. That I want to do something that's like doable and like actually YouTube content. Content alert. We need content alert. Whatever we choose, we're gonna cut it down to a YouTube video. I have a degree in computer science, but a lot of the web development stuff I taught myself. Okay, so what else? Am I missing anything? Not missing anything, but what are some... Yeah, reduce would be cool too. Okay, so array.prototype.reduce. One more. Content! Does anyone watch, what's his name? Sushi Dragon? Content is coming! String.includes. I like that one. Content is coming. Content is coming. All right. So I've started the poll. You have 2 minutes to vote. Yeah, I realize that a lot of these are like they don't actually need to be polyfilled. But I'll show you how that would actually work. And I'm gonna vote for object.entries because this one definitely isn't in IE. But like reduce is in IE. That's okay if you're waiting for InstaFluff. I think he goes live probably like in 30 minutes, right? Or maybe sooner. Yeah, so wait, what? No, that's not the right thing. Array.prototype. Oh, thank you, Lakshman. .reduce. This is the InstaFluff waiting room. Yeah, so I mean, if we polyfill it, it really would only be useful for something like IE6 or 8. Reduce is definitely interesting, and it's actually pretty easy to implement. I mean, relatively speaking. I've been coding a long time. A lot of things were easy for me. The InstaFluff waiting room. Shout out InstaFluff, by the way. Go drop a follow. Go drop a follow, so you can go watch him whenever he goes live. He'll go live pretty soon. Looks like Reduce is winning, and I think object.entry. Yeah, object.entries definitely is not. Definitely not supported in IE 11. Cool. Okay, so somebody mentioned, is it like polyfill? I lost the message. Do I still have it? Yeah, there it is. Polyfill.io. Let's check it out. upgrade the web automatically with cool animations. No, this is totally irrelevant to what the library actually does. So this is a service that accepts a request for a set of browser features and returns only the polyfills that are needed by the requesting browser. Great. So, yes, and so there are polyfills, and these are basically can be implemented with JavaScript code. So all it takes is to add like a script tag to your page, and then like an older version of IE could now have support for object.entries or Array.prototype.reduce in IE6 or something like that. Did reduce win? Oh, Array.prototype.reduce won. Cool. So we're going to implement that. We're going to implement this as a polyfill, and we'll talk about how browsers do that. So that'll be fun. No, that's too much. Reduce barely. We'll do both. We'll do that one and object.entries, because object.entries is a fun one too. These are both fun little coding challenges, honestly. So polyfills are things that can just be implemented with JavaScript code, and that's if we're talking about JavaScript features that need to be polyfilled. There are also things that cannot be polyfilled. So something like the class keyword. If it's not supported directly by the browser, then you can't write JavaScript code that uses the class keyword, because there's nothing in the browser that could do that. For the browsers it's not supported in. Yeah, so ES6 classes, look at that. So in IE11, if you were to write code that says class animal curly braces, and then you put your properties inside of it, that would just straight up break. The JavaScript engine would come across that code and be like unexpected reserved word, because I think technically class was a reserved word before they even added classes. Yeah. Should also implement code that will shame the outdated browser. So we could do like browser detection. Yeah. So when you have syntax like that, you cannot polyfill it, and for that you need a transpiler. And Babel is one of the most popular transpilers. There are others. Let it be known there are others. But Babel allows you to write code that's not supported in older browsers, and then it will turn it into somewhat equivalent code that is supported by the browser. So for instance, if I do class animal, and it has a constructor, and that constructor takes in a name, and then it sets like this.name. You can see right now when it transpiles it, it's actually just, it's keeping it as a class. But if I say that I want to do ES 2015, meaning my browser doesn't necessarily have support for these things, you can see that it turns this class into things that are just supported by JavaScript. So we have instance of functions, class check, and then it basically just converts this into a constructor function instead of the class keyword, because this is actually supported like by many different browsers. So there's multiple ways to go about it. There's polyfills, there's transpilation. If you're building like web apps with React or something like that, it uses Babel by default, and you can decide how far back you want to transpile your code. Yeah. So there's transpilation, there's polyfills. What are the other things? What am I missing? Yeah, I'll mention, I think it's Core.js. I don't know if they changed their name. Core.js 3. Does anybody know? Is there like a replacement for Core.js? Or Core.js was the replacement? I wonder how long the errors of I will plague enterprise development. I mean, for a long time to come. But something like Core.js is very useful, and we could use that instead of... actually, Core.js is an example of a polyfill. So Core.js implements all of the Core.js JavaScript features, like prototype methods for the array, and strings, and some objects like set and promise. And so this library, you can add it, and it automatically does feature detection and chooses which things should be brought in. Yeah. Might as well use Flash, yeah. And thank you, Ramon, for that hydrate. All right, we got a bunch of follows. Let me acknowledge the follows, and then we're going to Yeah, so if you bring in Babel Polyfill, it probably uses core.js under the hood. Yeah, so we're doing a lot of chatting here. Let me acknowledge the follows. There's a fly on my drink. And then, then we're going to implement reduce, and then we'll implement object.introduce. Juicy1234, thank you for that follow. Indie Geek, thank you. Subit, a bet player, thank you. And Bad, thank you for that follow. And we have a hydrate from Happy Jojo, thank you. And Erhan Kernaz with the stretch, thank you very much. And everyone at home, you can stretch too. Followers being, I'm not deleting followers. I am followers. I am acknowledging them. So I think procrastinating with CJ has what do you call it? Determined my random algorithm. But let's clear the drop game. I'm going to clear the drop game. And then you all get a fresh shot at filling up the garden here. Replace my missing feature in IE with a Java applet. Cool. Okay, so we kind of talked about like the ways to address this are with polyfills, with transpilation. Can anyone think of other... lots of drops happening. Can anyone think of other things that we do to support older browsers? Things that I might be missing? But regardless, let's create a polyfill. So I'm going to create a folder. We're going to do example polyfill. Delete IE. We ignore them? I mean, that's one way to do it. Yeah. I mentioned that at the beginning. Like, if you have what's called a greenfield app or like a brand new app, you can just say, we're only going to support Chrome, or we're only going to support the latest versions of all browsers and not IE. And thank you, Poot. Thank you for that follow, and Corso, thank you for that follow as well. Oh yeah. That's a good, yes. So something like a CSS AutoPrefixer. And PostCSS is probably the most common version of that. So there are certain CSS features that are behind like browser flags inside of certain browsers. So if we look at like CSS animations, let's look up transform. And so the things we were talking about before are like specific to JavaScript. There are things you can do also in terms of CSS. Now, known issues. I don't know how I'll find an example of it, but so we might know the CSS property that's called like transform, but in certain browsers you might have to do -webkit transform or -ms transform or -ie transform or something like that, and those are known as browser prefixes. And there are tools you can use like PostCSS, where you can write your code in the latest way, the way that's supported by modern browsers, and then PostCSS will automatically go through and add any prefixes for things that need to be supported in older browsers as well. So there's that. All right. Let's get ready to create some YouTube content. Who's ready for content? Graceful degradation. Yeah. Raise your hand if you're ready for content. How does this work? I'm not sure what that is. Raise hand. Nice. Thank you, Acid Spark. Cool. Lowers hand. Gradients? I'll check out gradients. Let me just find those. Content! Yeah, WebKit gradient. Cool. So like in certain browsers, you have to do -webkit gradient. You don't just do gradient on your CSS property. Yeah. Yeah, content. Thank you, Stupid. Thank you for that follow. All right. Cool. Let's do it. That status worked. That's really good. Thank you, Legendary. Thanks for being here. All right, I'm going to enable focus mode while I implement this polyfill. Yeah, I'll explain it. Oh, thank you, Kuzi. Redeemed focus mode and Kazija. Cool. We got 16 minutes of focus. The thing is, I want to. This is YouTube content, so we need to make it like within 11 minutes or so. And Wolfpat, thank you for that stretch content. Okay, we're gonna do 12 minutes. 12 minutes of focus. Let's go. Awesome. So. This question was asked by jonahjoe, and it says how to address issues related to IE browsers, as most of the code doesn't work there, like ES6 classes and etc. So we talked about you can use a website like Can I Use, and that'll tell you what features are supported in what browsers. Typically, the way you fix these things are with polyfills, and that's what we're going to show in this video, is how you would write a polyfill yourself. Now, you pretty much don't have to write your own polyfills because a lot of them exist out there, like core.js. But polyfills are things that can be implemented just with JavaScript code. You don't need any external things. There are some things that can only be, you can only get working using transpilation, where basically you write code that isn't directly supported in those older browsers, but then you run it through a tool like Babel and it converts it to code that is supported. And that's all of those things are specific to JavaScript. And then you also have things like an AutoPrefixer for CSS. And there's probably a lot of other stuff that I'm missing, but what we're specifically going to talk about right now are polyfills. So, for example, Array.prototype.reduce, if we go to caniuse.com, that is not supported in IE6. So you can look here, you can see what browsers support it. Polyfills with CJ. You can see that IE6 and IE8 do not have this in there. So if you tried to do array.reduce, it would just say like cannot call it'll say undefined is not a function, because reduce is undefined on arrays in IE6. Now, technically, you could bring in core.js. That would fix your problem. But I'm going to show you how we would write code to determine if array.prototype.reduce is supported. So I have a basic HTML document here. Disable drops? I'll leave drops on. It's fun. We have fun here. I don't know. So I'm going to add a basic script. But thank you for thinking about that, Alca. I don't know. I just say for anybody on YouTube that's complaining that that the drops are annoying or anything else is annoying, how much money did you pay to watch this video? $0. I also have ads disabled, so just be here with me and all these 260 people. Okay, so we're gonna have this app.js, and inside of app.js we're going to detect if array.prototype.reduce exists. So we can simply just do 260, well, now it's 266 to be exact. So actually, I'll create a function. I'll say polyfill reduce. So this function, when I run it, it will polyfill reduce. That's the plan. And inside of here, the first thing we'll do is we'll check if array.prototype.reduce is a thing. Then we'll just log. And actually, let's do an alert. Reduce is supported. Else. Boo. Reduce is not supported. So there are other ways to do this. Like this is basically just checking to see if that property exists on the array prototype, and if it does, then that means you can call reduce on your arrays. And so what we're going to say it's supported. But if it's not supported, then that means we want to polyfill it. Now, if I run this in Chrome, obviously it's going to be supported, but let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go into this example polyfill. I'm going to start up light server, which is a static file server, and it should just alert. Oh, I didn't call my function. So I have this function here, and when the page loads, I need to essentially call that function so that it will polyfill that reduce if it doesn't exist. And so now we can see we're in Chrome, so very obviously reduce is supported. I think the thing is alert goes way back, so you'd have to go really far back to see a browser that doesn't support alert. Yeah, IE6 has alert. We can make our reduce function if it doesn't exist. Yeah, and so the thing is, technically, because of the way JavaScript works, we could even create our own version of reduce, even if it was supported. But it's always good practice to make sure that it's not supported before you go in. Oh, I'm in Firefox. Yeah, I'm not in Chrome. Sorry, I forgot. But obviously, like, Reduce has been supported for a very long time. I'm very curious. There's a way to test IE browsers. Test IE browser, like Browser Stack or something like that. Browserling? I think this lets you test for free. Yeah, can we test it on IE6? We're gonna go way back. We're gonna go to Windows 7? Internet Explorer. I could fire up a virtual machine. Costs money. Do we have... I don't think they have Windows XP. Oh, there it is. I find it. Okay. I find it. We'll do IE6. Nice. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to deploy this website, so that way when we test it in the browser here, we should see Reduce is not supported. So let's deploy it. Yeah, let's go. Nope, new project. We'll call this Reduce Polyfill. Right here. Cool. So if you, I'll share this site. I'll share this link in the chat. If you go to this website, it will tell you if your browser supports Reduce. Let's try it. We're gonna try to run this app on Windows XP Internet Explorer 6. Test now. I'm in position 1 of 1. Here it comes. Wait, what? No, that ran it in Chrome. I did the wrong thing. It's running it in Chrome 55. I don't want that. I want Windows XP. Oh, they're only available to paying users. Welp. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Ultimately, I just wanted to show somewhere where it was broken, but that's okay. That's okay. So here's what I want to do. I'll say if it is not supported, then we need to implement it. And this is how we'll do that. So we'll create a function called reduce. Now, if we look at MDN, we can see the function definition or the function signature for array reduce, and that's basically what we need to implement. So if we look at Array.prototype.reduce, we can see that it accepts a potentially 2 arguments. It accepts a callback function, or 2 parameters, a callback function and an initial value. So in my reduce function, I'm going to have a callback and an initial value. Like so. Cool. So this function I need to attach to the array prototype. And right now I'm just going to log, we have overridden, or we'll say, we are in our custom reduce. Great. So I have the function, now I need to attach it to the array prototype, and all I gotta do is say array.prototype.reduce equals reduce. And I now have essentially, anywhere below this line, anywhere below line 12, if you try to call reduce on an array, I have overridden it. I have, you're gonna see my function instead. Yeah, this says don't define function. Okay, I need to just disable ESLint, because ESLint is complaining about a lot of things. You can also see this is probably saying array prototype is read-only, properties should not be added. Technically, you can do this. The only thing stopping me is good practices. So I'm just gonna disable ESLint altogether, so that way it won't complain about anything. Great. So now, if I have an array of 1, 2, and 3, and I call reduce on it, we should see we are in my custom reduce. So let's do this. Refresh the page. Nope. Start up light server. Reduce is supported. Missing argument 0 when calling function. What? Why the heck would I get a type error? Soy. What? Because reduce is supported? Oh, it's not letting me overwrite it? I thought I did. I said array.prototype. Oh! I'm in a browser where it is supported. So basically I can't do this check. We'll keep that there. I totally forgot. I was in the else. Sorry, I was in the if, so that code never ran. So we're going to keep that if statement there because this is typically how you would detect it, but we're going to override it no matter what. So we're going to do this. Now, we can see that we are in our custom reduce. Very good. Why did that log twice? Oh, because it, wait, does it call it, doesn't call the function for every instance. Yeah. Can't access property pipe. R is undefined. Oh, browser sync is right. I don't know why it logged 11. Oh, is browser sync doing weird things? Oh, that's why. That's why I'm using browser sync to refresh the browser, and it's actually trying to use the reduce function. Okay, let's kill light server. This is going wonderfully. Content, we're creating content. I'm gonna use HTTP server because it doesn't auto refresh. It doesn't inject any JavaScript. So that's the reason it was running so many times. Content is because behind the scenes, browser sync was trying to use the reduce function, and very obviously I had broken it by overriding it. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, so we've overridden the function. We're taking in two parameters, callback and initial value. And the way reduce works is it basically assumes that, not assumes, but it can work on anything that's iterable. So we definitely need a for loop. Like technically we could use a for each, we could use some of those other supported methods, but if I want to be sure, by the way, can a page pollute the array prototype of that extension? But why? Oh, it's not an extension. Browser sync literally injects JavaScript. That's why that happened. But regardless, I'm going to use a for loop here because I know that for loops are supported in pretty much every browser. So if I'm implementing this polyfill, I can be sure that a for loop is actually going to work. Now, we need to iterate up to the length of the array. How do we do that? With the this keyword. So whenever we attach anything to the prototype in JavaScript, that function can get access to the context of that instance. So inside of here, when we say this.length, and actually I'm just going to log this.length. Yeah, it's been 12 minutes already. I don't know. Is this content? Maybe it'll be 20-minute content. I don't know. What's up, Copperbeardy? Welcome to the show. Thank you, Acid Spark. We'll do another focus. But now watch. When I run this, when I run this function, it's going to call reduce, and we're going to see that the length is 3. This.length, because it's the length of the instance of the array, right? And if I call it again on something with only one item inside of it, now when this gets called, it's in the context of this instance, and that instance has a length of 1. So we should see 3 and then 1. So this, inside of this function, refers to the instance. And so the way to think about that is we're saying this array.reduce. So inside of the function invocation, this is equal to the thing that we called reduce on. So the first time we call reduce, this is equal to this, because it's this.reduce. And then the second time we call reduce, this is equal to this. Now, this, if you're totally new to JavaScript and this in context, it can be very confusing, but that's kind of a good way to think about it, is if you have a function, the thing on the left-hand side of the dot is, in most cases and most likely, what this will be inside of that function. Okay, so we have this. I'm going to enable 8 more minutes of focus mode. We'll finish this up. I'll stop wasting time. So 8 more minutes. And then we'll implement this. Okay, so now the way reduce works is it actually implements what's known as the accumulator pattern. And the accumulator pattern basically accumulates to a single value. So we'll say our accumulator is equal to the initial value. Or if someone does not pass in the initial value, then we actually set the accumulator to be the very first value in the array. So we kind of need some logic here. So we'll say, like, if there is an initial value, so we'll have the accumulator. Initially, it's undefined. If there is an initial value, we just set accumulator to the initial value. And then I also want, like, a starting. Where do I need to start in this array? So I'll say let's start default to 0. So we're always going to start at the beginning of the array. However, if there was no initial value passed in, then the accumulator needs to be set to the first element in the array. So I'm just going to say this bracket 0. And so the other thing is reduce expects that I can use indexing like this on the instance of this, which technically like will even work with strings, right? But regardless, so we have that. But if we set the accumulator to be the value at 0, then we need to say the start is now 1 because we want to skip that one. So we will say I equals start. So it's either going to start at 0 or 1, and our accumulator is going to have an initial value. Awesome. Now, for every element in the array, we need to invoke this callback function that gets passed in. So we can see on MDN that the callback function gets 4 parameters. It gets the accumulator. So inside the for loop here, we're going to call the callback function. It gets the current value. And the current value in this case, so we get the accumulator. The current value in this case is going to be this at I. That's the current value. We also get the index. In our case, that's I. And then we also get the array itself. And in this case, it's, someone tell me in the chat, what is the array? We already talked about it, but what do I pass in as the 4th argument here? This, yeah, so this is literally the array itself. The array is an array, yeah. Cool. And basically, we, and if you've used reduce before, and if you're familiar with the accumulator pattern, you know that each time your callback function gets called, let's take a quick stretch. We are taking a break. Yeah, you shouldn't do, in the real world, you should never do this. You should only do this if it's not supported, which is what we were doing earlier, but it's supported, so we do that. Coding with Dora the Explorer. Each invocation of this callback, the return value gets set to be the accumulator of the next invocation. Where can we see an example of that? Yeah, these are all really bad. These are all really bad examples, but I'll show you. Basically what that means is each invocation of this callback that gets passed in, we reassign to the accumulator, just like that. And so that basically invokes the function, passes in the current accumulator, the current value, the current index, and the array itself. The return value of that function becomes the accumulator in the next invocation, and then we invoke that callback function again. And then after all of this, we return the accumulator, like that. Now, this is basically the reduce function. I probably need error handling. I need to make sure that the array has a length, all that good stuff. So we'll say, yeah, if, yeah, I mean, technically, the start is 1, and that's probably a great, I don't know, this is fine. It's fine. It's fine. Good enough. Well, yeah, and that's a good point. So not for being is saying use var instead of let. Absolutely. So if I really were creating this as a polyfill, I would only want to do things that I know are supported in something like IE6. So in IE6, we don't have var letter const. We don't have letter const. We only have var. So it would make a whole lot of sense to use var. And does anyone see any syntax in here that would not be supported in older browsers? I don't think so. I think everything I've written so far is, yeah, they have var. And Nika Yoda, thank you for that 213 sub. They don't have let and const. Yeah, and Doc is mentioning that the MDN page actually has a polyfill with all the ECMA spec cases. And so that's the other thing, is you could look at the ECMAScript standard, which is the definition of how JavaScript should work, and in that they describe all the edge cases and of reduce and how it should work when certain things happen. Use Chrome, please. No var, we could only G. Yeah, and what's up, Fleximon? Welcome. Yeah, I think that's mainly it. And cool. So Let's actually use it. So the typical way you see this happen is we have like the sum equal to the reduce here. And so we could take in sum and each value, and then we return sum plus value. And if we've done this correctly, like if we've implemented our reduce correctly, we should get the value 6 here. And then similarly, in this case, we should get the value 1. All right. Does it break? Cool. We get the value 6 and the value 1. So we've done it. We've done it. So basically, under the hood, this is basically what a reduce does. It invokes a function for every value inside of the array. It assigns the return value to the accumulator, and then it invokes the function again on the next value in the array using the previous return value. Cool. All right. Now, Doc mentioned that they have a polyfill here. Let's check it out. Yeah. So you can actually see, instead of doing Array.prototype.reduce equals reduce, they're using object.define property. However, object.define property, is that supported? Yeah, see, even object.define property is not supported in IE6. So in IE6, you couldn't do that. You'd have to directly assign the property. And you can see that they have their check here. If array.prototype.reduce is not a thing, then we're going to define that property. If the array is null, it throws an error. If we don't get a callback function, we throw an error. We need to get the length. Oh, that's true. That's true, Lucemans. So they probably would first polyfill define property. And then after they've polyfilled define property, then they could polyfill reduce. That's true. Hello, Behokre. I'm not totally sure. This is doing some sort of bit shifting, or bitwise operator. Well, thank you, Irmo. Polyfilling polyfills, exactly. Oh, that's unfortunate. What's up, Andrew? Welcome to the show. This is a zero fill right shift. So shifts A in binary representation, B bits to the right, discarding bits shifted off and shifting in zeros from the left. Zero just makes the value a 32-bit unsigned integer. So couldn't they also do this, a bitwise OR with 0? Basically, they wanted to just round the length, right? Oh, well. In Lizard Storm. We got a bunch of follows. I'm going to acknowledge the follows in just a second. Yeah. It's not necessarily, shouldn't be skeptical of the quality. A lot of times people, not people, but coders do this for performance, and especially if they're polyfilling something that might get called a lot in the code. Bitwise operators can potentially increase the performance of the code. I wouldn't worry about this. As you can see that I'm just accessing this.length, right? Coders are people too. That's true. Cool. So you can see their implementation. I think that's it. I think we've done it. One thing that I will do is the classic arrange things by ID. Let's do this. If I go to the Coding Garden API for Vox Populi, I'm gonna get an array of users. All right, we're gonna look at this. We're going to get an array of users, and we're going to convert that array of users into an object where the keys are the IDs and the values are the users themselves. And then I'll be done with this. Is this content? This is going to turn out to be like a 30-minute video. Let's call this vox.json. Throw that in there. Wait, did I lose precision? Or did I lose some data? Content. 3 hours of video. Hey. Well, you know what? I think we'll just curl it. Content. I'm gonna edit this. I guess I'll edit this part out. That's how content works, right? Oh, I could use Insomnia, huh? Oh well, we're gonna use curl. And then we're going to send, is this how curl works? Send the output to data.json. 310 kilobytes. If we look at data.json, oh, that's pretty good. And we can run it through a formatter. Yeah, look at that. The only reason I'm doing this is because this gives me an array of users. If you go all the way down, so if we minimize questions, and we minimize ideas, and we minimize submissions, then we get the users. There we go. So this is the users. So we're going to create users.json. We're just going to put that in here. So we're going to say const users equals this big ol' array of users. And anybody that has asked a question in the past or today here on Twitch, you are in this array of users. But as you can see, right now it's an array of objects. See you later, Wolfpat. Thanks for being here. But it's an array of objects. And what I want to do is I want to use reduce to turn it into an object where the keys are the user ID and the values are the users. Let's do the user name. So we'll do that. So we have this users array here. And I should be able to say by name by ID is going to be users.reduce. My accumulator, we'll call it by ID. We're going to get each individual user. That's each value. This is the callback function. Here we can say by ID at user.id equals user.name. User.name. Here we go. A GDPR compliant reduce. What? We have been immortalized as a key value set. Yeah, that's what we're creating now. And if you were confused about what was happening in this implementation, this is basically what we're doing right now. The accumulator is that object because we're creating an object where the keys are the IDs and the values are the names. So the accumulator is that object. And on each iteration, we need to return that modified object so that way we can use it in the next iteration. And that's why you always see at the bottom of reduce, we return our accumulator by ID in this case. And in this case, we need an initial value because we are trying to create an object. So we need to say that our initial value is an object like that. I'd like to be forgotten from this. One day, Alca. I really do need to implement that though. But that should do it. So now, with this reduce function, we've taken this array of users and we've turned it into an object where the keys are the IDs and the values are the names. So let's try it. There we go. So we got this big ol' object and we can see all the people. There's Alca and Kevitaka and Pure LOL and Jan and everyone else. But you can see that the keys are the IDs and the values are the user's name. So reduce can be used for a lot of different cases. And we've basically implemented this reduce function. Is this YouTube? This is not YouTube content. Regardless, if you watch this on YouTube, thanks for being here. Tune in on Twitch. I go live there sometimes. See you later. We'll make it GDPR compliant. Alphabetical order. Well, that would require a sort. Oh, was it? It was in. So that mostly has to do with the way that object keys are stored in memory, and that's why it looks like it's not alphabetical order, but it's. Wait. You're on Twitch right now. Yes. Yes. Make it GDPR compliant using only reduce. That would require like chat integration because I would need to know whether or not somebody wants to appear in this array. We're not going to Mixer, Mr. T. It doesn't exist anymore. Ordered by ID, smallest to largest. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. All right. Let's acknowledge all the follows. Thank you everyone for being here. We're going to answer more questions because we've literally only answered one question today. But we made content. Maybe. Hopefully. Blink. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Piro. Thank you for that follow. And Alaparlark. And Utaka. And Jalad. Thank you for the follow. Thanks for being here. Ben. And Magic Trick. And Buatep. And Lizard Storm. And Sake. And Eggsiaglu. And Saxton. Thank you all very much for your follows. Thanks for being here. And we got a posture check. Thank you, Happy Jojo. And 2 hydrates. One from Ted Talks. Thank you. And one from Flyboy. And we got more. Poor Boy. Thank you for that follow. And Vince, thank you for the follow too. Entropy chat Discord. Yeah. I will do that right now, actually. Actually, I think the mods have... Mods, can you create a channel on Discord just called Entropy Chat? Where we can talk about Entropy Chat. Because I forgot to do that last time. Cool. All right, before we move on... you can't make channels? All right, I'll make a channel. I'll make a channel, and you can... I think you can update the permissions. You can just make sure that people can actually post in there. Kappa. All right. Actually, can I just allow you to create channels? Well, oh, somebody did it. Who did it? Was it Andrew? Well, we needed an emoji. Entropy chat contributors. How about that? Gardner? What are you all talking about? All right, closing that. Okay, just real quick though, who actually learned something about reduce? Can you type 1 in the chat if you actually learned something about reduce? Did you did you learn about this keyword? Did you learn why the accumulator is actually returned from the function? Nice, that's good to hear. And you might have also learned just a little bit. Didn't ever use. Yeah, that's cool. You might also have learned a little bit about polyfills. Obviously, we couldn't use that right here because it's supported everywhere, so we wouldn't actually be able to overwrite it. But yeah, it's good to hear. CJ bot? Oh no, we're still here. We've only been live about an hour and a half. All right, let's keep answering questions because we've only answered one. This is definitely the majority just chatting stream. The difference between an object and a set, they're two different data structures. A set has, I mean, you can use an object to implement a set. Say that. Yeah, start value is optional, and that's useful when your first returned value is technically just the first value in the array. Yeah. Cool. If you have asked a question and you are here, type exclamation mark here, and your message. If you've asked the question on this website, it'll bubble up to the top, and then we're gonna pick the first question from someone that is not a subscriber. And thank you, Original T Square, for that follow. Array is to set, as object is to map. Maybe? A set is an object because everything in JavaScript is an object. Yeah. Are you making fun of me, Doc? Stop making fun of me. You want me to push this code up? I'll push this code up, yeah. This is not a Git repo. All right, first question from a non-subscriber is Lucemans, who says, any opinions on this pull request? Let's take a look. No, don't leave the... Oh, it left the website. Show this in the console. An application made by the Coding Garden community. That's pretty cool. Dark theme. I'm open to it. You just added a comment in the landing page? Yeah, why not? Thanks, Lucemans. That's always fun. Did you add a console banner too? Where's the console banner? The reverse. A function is technically an object. Yeah. What's up, Major Gamer Geek? Oh, there it is. You added a script tag here. Entropy chat, created by Coding Garden community. What's up with that formatting, though? Okay. there's JavaScript code here, so I need to take some time to review it. But I appreciate you for making that pull request. I'll take a look after the stream. I mean, it looks fine. Looks fine. I just want to make sure. But thank you, Lucemans, for that contribution. Master Agent Miyazaki asks, what are some recent projects you've been working on? I have not been active for a while. Lots of work. I would say the main things are the inventory app, entropy chat, and then we've just been answering a whole lot of questions. There needs to be code review for one. It's a giant line of code, and my code review is probably going to be, we need to like extract those styles or something like that. Come on, everyone. But yeah, if you want to check out my YouTube channel, all of my streams have been getting uploaded there. Well, that's the wrong thing. That. I code for a living. I work at a software consultancy. Oh, nice, Sneaky. Thanks for being here. And what's up, Hurt Wolf? But yeah, I have a YouTube. There's the SQL Home Inventory app, which we've been working on for a while now. But basically, it started as a database design, and then we've slowly started to implement it. That one's been pretty fun. And then there's also entropy chat. I don't know if I have a dedicated entropy chat playlist. Yeah, the thing is, I probably need to create an entropy GitHub organization because I created, I do. Well, I'll find it. Playlist. Doesn't matter. But entropy chat is basically a Discord clone, and that was a very like impromptu project that just started one day on a Twitch stream because somebody suggested it. So yeah, there's those two things, and then also like my overlays. This Electron app here, this is an Electron app for talking to for showing all of my chat messages, and we created a Vue component library so that like on this page it should update there. So this is technically a separate website, but it's using the same components, so they look similar. And then on my overlay, my initial overlay, I'll show you that for a second. I didn't freeze. I'm just standing here like this. I'm waiting to do that. Yeah, so you can see in all of these different views, the messages look very whoops. the messages look very similar. And that's because we created a reusable component library. It needs some work. It's not totally usable by everyone else just yet. And that is the Denver skyline. It is. Yeah, we're here in Denver. It's nice and sunny. It's always sunny on this particular screen. 303. What's up, Campbell Soup? And thank you, Hurt Wolf. Thank you for that follow. And Javis with the hydrate. Thank you. So yeah, that's what we've been working on. All right. Alca is at the top because he's a moderator. But Alca asked the question, what is a WeakMap good for? I honestly don't know, and I've honestly never used one, but let's check it out. Oh, the keys must be objects. Interesting. Okay, that probably is, I mean, that's the major difference between a regular map and a WeakMap. But let's check it out. I've never actually seen this, so this is interesting to me. So Callum says, weak maps provide a way to extend objects from the outside without interfering with garbage collection. Oh. Okay, so keys of weak maps are of type object only. Primitive data types as keys are not allowed. So you can't, so like a map, like a regular map, we can also check out like the global map object. Probably that's this one. Thanks for that quote, Impy. This is the story of my life. I don't know anything. We're just always checking stuff out. A quick response to this. Be very careful with Vue Native, because Vue Native is just a wrapper on top of React Native. So ultimately, you're going to need to get familiar with the React Native CLI. And I don't know if they support whatever that React Native CLI is yet. But it looks nice, but it's actually just written right on top of React Native. Weak mac and cheese. Thank you, GL Programmer. Thank you for that follow. There are no ways to enumerate a WeakMap or get its values. Oh, so we could create non-enumerable properties on objects? That's amazing. And thank you, it's Sentinel for that follow. And it's Sweeto. Thank you for the follow as well. Yeah. But yeah, I'll say, like, it looks really cool, Vue Native, but just make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Expo, that's what it's called, Expo. And it may not support Expo, which is like the preferred React Native CLI. I don't know. Weak max. We give you the first value we think is big. Now, Column says, you want to keep track of all currently rejected promises. However, you don't want to keep them from being garbage collected in case no references exist to them. Ah, that makes sense. And if you're not familiar with garbage collection, it's basically automatic memory management, and JavaScript is a garbage collected language. Somebody's going to clip that, and it's just going to say JavaScript is a garbage, but it's a garbage collected language. Meaning the runtime engine will detect if there are any references to things, and if there are no references to a particular item, it has grounds to be garbage collected. And thank you, Anestra, for the hello. Hello, how's it going? But what Column is saying is, if you put something into a weak map, that basically keeps the reference around, so that way it won't be garbage collected. Yeah. Objects versus map. So object is similar to map. Both let you set keys to values, retrieve those values, delete keys, and detect whether something is stored at a key. For this reason, objects have been used as maps historically. However, there are important differences that make map preferable in certain cases. Oh, we're talking about map now, not weak map. But yeah, this is a map. If you hadn't seen a map before, a map it works very similar to an object, but you can have object keys, whereas in JavaScript, if you try to set a key to be an object, it's just going to toString it. Any key you set on a regular object will toString it. JavaScript is one shiny piece of garbage. Berlin Calling, thank you for that follow. No, I didn't say that. I said it is garbage collected. All right. Examples. We have some weak maps. Yeah, I think that, that's cool. I believe you can use object as keys in a map as well, though. So there's that. But weak map basically prevents you from having primitives as keys, which is also interesting. Okay. To be honest, Alca, aside from what Callum said, I have no idea why this is useful. It looks cool, though. If you want a map where the keys cannot be primitives, use a weak map. All right, if you already have asked a question, type exclamation mark here, and then I'll answer the next one at the top. And thank you, Unicorn Hunter, for that follow. And Varun, thank you for the hydrate. What is this? What is this link? Twitch. Oh, is that a clip? What's the clip go to? Is it the JavaScript is garbage thing? And thank you, Artificio. Thank you for that stretch. Oh, you can force garbage collection in Node? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Cool. I've only dabbled in Flutter. Yeah. The link preview thing is just a part of my overlay, so that I don't click random links. All right, this next question comes from Kevitaka, and it was asked 2 weeks ago, so hopefully we can answer it right now. Kevitaka is asking, how would you secure an API without any sort of user login? For example, your front end hits a third-party API using an API key. Since you can't securely store the API key on the front end, you move that API call to a Node backend. But is there a way to prevent others from accessing your API? 361 cores? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Watch the clip. Should I, though? Let me know if I should watch this clip. Anyone else in the chat? Oh, thank you, Mint Gem. Yeah, so earlier we were talking about entropy. If you check out that playlist, that will have all the links in it. Oh, weird. I haven't done much Android development. Hello, Mortal Box. Doc is, I think this is about WeakMap. A more concrete example might be in a tree like a DOM, where we want each child to have a list of all the parent elements of a node. If you then delete the parent, you want those child-to-parent refs to be weak, otherwise you have a circular garbage collection blocking loop. Oh, so it has a lot to do with, like, memory optimization. Watch it. Okay, I'll watch it. And JLS, not the man, thank you for that follow. Watch it. All right, I'm going to watch it. Boo-doo-boo-boo. It's basically automatic memory collection. It's basically automatic memory management, and JavaScript is a collection. It's basically cool. Hello, Berlin. Welcome to the show. Okay, so this question has to do with, let's say you're hiding an API call. Well, so you have an API call that you've moved to the backend because it's hiding an API key, but now you want to further restrict that API from being called by other things. Let's talk about that. And we could potentially try to implement something. Yeah, I think we'll implement a simple API. Interesting question. On AWS Lambda, you can secure it so that's that it's only called from a domain. Yeah, that's the other thing you could do here too. Is if you set up cores, you would want to set up a specific core's origin so that it's not called from other front end websites. Yeah, but the other issue is people can still technically call your API from a tool like Postman, or they could write a script that like a node script that calls it. You're not really protecting against that. I've been doing this a long time. I was thinking, like, I actually want to do a stream where people can just say, this is an idea I have for an app that I want to build, and I will basically tell you how I would build it. I wouldn't build it. It would be really just a just chatting stream, but I would tell you, okay, look into this API. This is probably how you want to structure it. That could be fun, because I used to do that a lot. And the reason I have all these opinions is because I've built a lot of apps. Yeah, so basically you could have API key, your own API key validation. And my cat likes tuna. Thank you for that follow. Yeah. There's an idea in there? Okay, I'll check it out. Great idea. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and answer this one, though. And I think we'll build like a simple API to demonstrate that. Can people give me some ideas for an API that requires an API key, but it will be simple enough to integrate within like 5 minutes? Like, we can generate an API key, we can call that API. Yeah. What CJ bot? I don't know what you mean by that. You mean the Samwise Gardner bot? And Mad Scientist, thank you for that follow. Much appreciated. Yeah, there are a lot of questions. Twitter is actually really hard because you have to do like Twitter OAuth. Imager, Telegram, Mapbox, maybe? Well, so something like Mapbox, you actually wouldn't hide on an API server because your Mapbox client ID, it does have to be public to the world. And Unsplash API, Weather, YouTube. Circuito, thank you for that follow. Pixabay. I wasn't in the game. There was somebody named CJ, though. But I want something with an API key. Where's the ISS? Star Wars API. Chatbot API. Twitch channel points API. We'll figure something out. I think in the meantime, I'm just going to get an app generated, or a backend generated, so we can talk about this. Example, hide API key in backend. Big oven. If I want to deploy my Node.js API to AWS, is it enough to just protect the API with Nginx and PM2? You can do a lot with those two things. There's also ways to do it directly inside of Node. A couple of things I'm going to show are rate limiting and increasing the length of a response for people that are trying to spam your API as well. But you can do all of those things within Nginx instead of just Node. And thank you, Meet Virginia, for that follow. I guess that's true. I could write an API to call my own API. Yeah, that link actually works. Oh, CG bot. Oh, that's on GitHub already. Yeah. Check it out on GitHub. You're talking about the Discord bot. I didn't know that. GitHub.com/codinggarden/Discord manager or something like that. Let's find it really quick. Yeah, this is it. This is the bot that controls the role, adding new roles to new users on Discord and all that stuff. And Door, thank you for that follow. Yep, I write LS all the time. The ISS was over North Pacific Ocean 1.1 seconds ago. Because it's easier for me to just restart the bot than to actually debug and find the issue. that wouldn't require though. I mean, we had some serious uptime. I think we had like close to 3 weeks of uptime recently, so most things have been fixed. And thank you, Sneak the Peek, for that follow. Yeah, feel free. It's all of my projects. You can look at the license, but everything is under the MIT license, which is an extremely permissive license. You can basically take any of the code I've written and do anything you want with it. You could even monetize it if you really wanted to. But I write bad code, so you probably shouldn't. Yeah, I'll merge those security fixes in a second. And Dink Memes, thank you for that follow. Use the NASA API. I guess that could be cool. Thank you, GTC 2002, for that follow. Does the NASA API require an API key? The Warm Turtle, thank you for that follow. Generate an API key. Cool. Yeah, so let's do this. And this will be the YouTube content that everybody's been asking for. What does the NASA API give us though? Can we get the ISS on the NASA API? No. SpaceX API? That could be cool. And Mystic, thank you for that follow. 1 month, 7 days. Yeah, so we have had some serious uptime on our bot. I mean, can you call that serious? You can call that serious because it used to require a restart like every day. Yeah. Weather on Mars, that'd be cool. And Kremavets, thank you for that follow. Is there what does the SpaceX API give us? Well, I did that wrong. SpaceX API. We are not affiliated, associated. Hello, Simpson. I guess we'll just show, Mars rover photos. That could be cool, right? Or no, the NASA image and video library. So we can make a request here, and then we do /search with our query, like the moon. And it just works. So do you even need an API key? I want something that definitely needs an API key. Let's see. So limits are placed on the number of API requests you make using your API key. Wait, what about Mark Rover? Was he in the results here? Oh, no. What are you talking about, Mark Rover? Oh, he works at NASA. Or he worked at NASA. I don't know. What are you doing, Mr. Syntax? Are you a bot? And funny dude, thank you for that posture check. You subbed? What? What? I don't see it. Was it a Twitch Prime sub? There have been issues recently with Twitch Prime subs. I mean, some Twitch Prime subs have showed up, but I did not see the notification. Try refreshing the page. What's up, baby? Recipes API. We could do that. Create a chatbot. Oh, Mars rover, Mark rover. People are just trolling me by setting their status to be a CORS message. It's not a real CORS error. Inflick, thank you for that follow. That's great, Lakshman. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I see your 2-month icon. Sometimes Twitch chat messes up. Just try refreshing the page and it should ask you again. You can click share. Okay, so Ramoon is saying there's this insight weather that actually requires an API key. Mars Weather Service. Ah. What's up, baby, with the 2-month resub. Thank you very much. What's up, baby? Okay. So this will give us the weather on Mars. And the demo key, I think, is limited. Let's see what they said about the demo key. The demo key is used. Hourly limit 30 requests per IP address per hour. Daily limit 50 requests per IP address per day. Cool. So if I request this 30 times, we should actually get a an error that says we've used it too much. What's up, baby? If I would build a page builder, how would I store the generated HTML? Yeah, I think it makes sense to store it in the database. Like, you could generate files and then, like, make a request for those files, but you often have to serve up that generated HTML from a server, so it might make sense to pull it from a DB. I don't know, though. I've never really done something like that. Cancer with the Twitch Prime sub, thank you very much. And Gerzik, thank you for that follow. And Jesse Skinner, what's up, dude? Mars weather, cold with a chance of dust. Yeah, I don't think we have any, like, conditions. It just has, like, degrees, location, all that good stuff. And check out Jesse. He's a member of our Life Coders team. Inhospitable to human life. Content. We're trying to answer a question right now. So the question that we're researching is from Kevitaka, who asks, basically, they are calling an API, and they hid that API on their backend, but now they want to make sure that their backend that they created, they want to limit to how often it can be called and who can call it. So we're kind of researching what we're going to do to demonstrate and talk about how we can do that. Yeah, and this will probably be the last thing that we do. Yeah. I don't really do much React Native. What do I think a junior programmer must show or know? I think you just need to be able to build apps. Given a task, can you do it? Can you figure out how to do it? Not can you do it, can you figure out how to do it? Because that's typically what is involved with being a programmer or a developer. You don't know how to do things, you figure out how to do things, which is what we're doing right now. And Gabriel, thank you for that follow. JS blobs. Is there a hype train? Really? Thank you, everyone. Well, I've got a surprise for you. I was up late last night creating this. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's actually see. Are we really in a hype train? We are in a hype train. We just got past level 1 hype train. I have for you this. Wait, no. Is that too loud? Let me know if I should turn it down a little bit. And Bumping Jacks, thank you for that follow. And thank you, Callum, for the 100 bits. subbed. Cancer MX with a Twitch Prime sub. Gabriel with a Twitch Prime sub. And then, what's up, baby? With the 213 sub. And then Funny Dude with the gifted subs. Funny Dude with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gifted subs. Thank you very much, Funny. And Callum with the 50 bits as well. Hype Train. Hey, what's up, Cozy Cody? Shout out, Cozy Cody. Aaron. No. Shout out, Cozy. She does really cool creative coding stuff here on Twitch. Definitely check her out. Hype Train. And she's also a member of our live coders too. Thanks again, Callum, for those bits. I created this song myself. I mean, technically, the, what do you call it? What do you call it? The melody might actually be copyrighted, but the automatic copyright bots don't pick that up. These are all things that I'll show you the Ableton session. Well, thank you, Cozy Cody. And Callum with the gifted sub to Varun. Very cool. It's too loud. Should I turn it down? Thank you, Cozy Cody, for that follow. Too much bass? Volume down. How's that? I'm sorry if that was way too loud. Oh well. Okay. Nice. It's kind of scary, not gonna lie. Very loud. And thank you, Callum, again for that gifted sub. Thomas the Dank Train. It's fair use, same as a remix. Cool. Better? How's this? Is this better? Much better. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to work in probably like 30 minutes, so yeah, I understand the feeling. Max procrastination. This is my custom chat client. This was the inspiration for the one that David and Kobe worked on, but mine's the original. Cool. Don't give up my day job. All right, is this... I think we'll use this API. We want to get rate limited though. We want to make it so that we've making enough requests, and actually we can look in the response headers to see are they giving us back a header that says how many requests we have left? Rate limit 40. Yeah, so right now they're telling me I have 5 requests left before I get rate limited. 1, 2, 3, 4, but I'm using the demo key right now. Demo key. 5. All right. Over my rate limit. And Ivo with 100 bits, thank you very much. All right, see you later, Cozy Coding. Thanks for dropping by. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to, first we're gonna get an API key. Then we're gonna call this NASA endpoint, but we're gonna call it from our backend so that way we can hide our API key and we don't disclose that on the web. NASA live. Yeah, we got rate limited. It was a very nice and manual, like we weren't DDoSing. I just refreshed like once every 1 or 2 seconds until we got rate limited, because with the demo key you're limited to 30 requests per hour. Yeah. 429. And thank you everyone for all the supports. Very much appreciated. And hopefully you all liked my Thomas the Tank Engine remix. But sorry that it was so loud for so long. But thanks to Gabri and Cancer MX for the Twitch Prime subs. Nikioto with the Twitch Prime sub. What's up, baby? With the tier 1 resub. Ivo and Callum with all the bits. And Funny Dude with the gifted subs. And Callum with the gifted subs as well. Very much appreciated. What happened to the stream? Did I get DMCA'd? Is it down? Did it go down for a second? What's happening? Jack Hart, thank you for that follow. I used to watch Thomas the Tank Engine too. I used to live in England. Yeah, that's a thing. We're doing the Q&A. We are, but we're answering. This is the last question we'll answer. This question came from Kevitaka, and their question was, all right. Well, first I need to get an API key, and then we'll prepare ourselves for YouTube content. I will attempt. Oh no, I lived there because my father was in the military, and so we were stationed there at Lakenheath Air Force Base, which I think is still a thing. Yeah. Thomas the Tank Engine originated in England, right? That's a British thing? Pretty sure. Content! We're here for the content. Alright, I need to get an API key. Oh, nice. That's good to hear. I will generate an API key now. So, my first name. My last name. Was that the OG Thomas the Tank Engine narrated by the Beatles? Was it? Oh, wow, that was way too easy. I got an API key already. Yeah, my father was stationed in multiple places, including the England and Germany. Sheepland. Ringo Starr, not the Beatles. That's good. Cool. So I actually have an API key. I'm going to keep it hidden. Mint Jim with the upgraded sub. Thank you so much, Mint Jim. Thank you for that sub. Okay. And we're just going to talk to, we're going to get with the weather on Mars, and we're going to display it on a web page. I think that's the plan. Okay. And thank you, Salamini, for that focus mode. We'll go ahead and enable that. We have one more thing. Mark with the hydrate. Thank you, Mark. Cheers. Okay. Gotta check my messages. Oh, InstaFluff is streaming. If you want a chill place to hang out, go head over to InstaFluff. Lit. Take a look at your project. If you share it in the Discord, I'll take a look. But we gotta do the YouTube content. And thank you, Percelsior, for that stretch. All right, we're gonna enable 25 minutes of focus mode. I'm hoping that I can get this implemented in 25 minutes. So let's do this. We're gonna do focus start for 25 minutes. Share the API key, all right. Here we go. So, welcome to this content. Is that what this is? This is YouTube content. You're watching me on YouTube. You want content, we're going to give you content. We got this question from Kevitaka, who says, how would you secure an API without any sort of user login? For example, your front end hits a third-party API using an API key. Since you can't securely store the API key on the front end, and you can't, some people might think you can, but anything that's on the front end is exposed to anybody that goes to your website. So you actually can't hide things on the front end. You move that API call to a node backend, but is there a way to prevent others from accessing your API? Now, there are a few things you can do, but I will say, ultimately, aside from actually adding user and password, well, adding like user authentication to your own API, which in turn is calling the other API, aside from doing that, there's a few things you can do to prevent people from like spamming your API and potentially like running through your rate limit. Like you can actually rate limit users. You can also increase the length of the responsive requests. So like each request they make takes a little bit longer, and it discourages them from overwhelming your API. And then you could potentially create one-off API keys yourself on your own API. There's a lot of things to do, but I think the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to set up a backend that actually makes a call to an API. And we saw here we're going to use the NASA API. You can read about here, they have rate limits on how often it can get called. And basically the issue here would be if someone found your NASA API key, NASA API key, they could potentially use that API key and use it so many times that you lose all of the potential remaining requests that you have. And so if you hide that API key on your backend can cache requests and basically prevent people from seeing the actual API key. And what I demonstrated is we're using the demo key here, and we have now been rate limited because the demo key is limited to 30 requests per hour. So I actually need an API key to make sure that it works. Now, technically, you probably could just make a request directly to the NASA API from your browser. Like, let's see really quick. If we go to their image API, which I don't think requires an API key. Yeah, and if we look at this, does it have CORS headers? Which would mean you technically could just make that request. Yeah, it does. So because this images endpoint actually responds with access control allow origin star, that means that you could request this code directly from your front end. There's no need to put this on a backend. But because we want to hide our API key, which that's the reason we're going to put this on a backend. So first thing I'll do is just generate a simple backend server. For that, I'm going to use create express API. We're going to call this NASA API proxy. And this is an example of a proxy. So a proxy is something that essentially takes in a request, does something with it, or potentially forwards that request to someone else and then forwards that response back to you. So we're going to build a backend proxy server. We're going to build a backend API that will make requests to get the weather on Mars. It'll get back that response, and then it will respond to whoever made that request. So if we go into NASA API proxy, we have a basic Express app. Let's check it out. Yeah, a man in the middle on purpose, but it's a man in the middle so that it could do things like hide your API key or cache things or different stuff like that. I generated, this is a very basic Express app generator that I created. It comes with some tests and some basic things, but we basically just have an Express setup. We've got our API mounted at /API v1. And if we take a look in there, we've got some emojis endpoints. So if I start this thing up, we're going to get a basic API. Oh, I have to change the port because I have other things listening. So we can see in our index that it defaults to port 5000, or it looks at process.env.port. So I'll go ahead and create a .env, and I'll set my port to be 4545. That's like NASA, isn't it? I don't know. 4545. And so now if I start it up, we now have an API running locally on port 4545. If I go to /API/v1/emojis, it responds with an array of emojis. Very good. But what I want to do is I want to create some custom endpoints. I want an endpoint that's API v1/Mars weather, something like this. And that will respond with the Mars weather. So let's get that set up. I'm going to create a folder in here called Mars weather.js. It's going to be very similar to the emojis router. But basically, when we make a GET request to /Mars weather, we're going to, this is where the proxy comes into play. So step one is we will make a request to the NASA API. And then step two is respond to this request with data from the NASA API. So basically, when someone hits our API, we are then going to call the NASA API. We're going to get back the response, and then we're going to send that response back to whoever made that request. So that's basically what we're going to do in this route. For now, we're just going to respond with a message that says, hello, Mars weather. So there's that. There that. 6262? That's possible. I'm going to leave it what it was. So I have this Mars weather router. I need to now mount this router in my full Express application. So I'm going to do that in my API index, just like I did with emojis. So we're going to bring in Mars weather. We're going to do bring in that specific Mars weather file, and then we're going to use it. So we're going to say router.use at /Mars weather. We want to use that Mars weather router. And I'm actually going to do dash case. So what I'm putting right here is whatever comes in the actual URL after /API v1. So I'm going to make this Mars-weather, like that. And just like that, we should now have an endpoint that responds. So now if I make a request to API v1 Mars weather, it's going to respond with an object that says hello Mars weather. Great. Now what I need to do is I need to make the request to the NASA API. And so we tested, this is the actual URL we need to hit, but we need to put our own API key in. And thank you, Randy Wharton, for those 100 bits. Much appreciated. Okay, so we will do that here. I'm going to store this URL. We'll call this like the base URL. And Randy again with the 100 bits. Thank you very much. So that's the base URL. And then we can actually wrap all of these params into some URL search params. So I'll say the params are, we'll do this inside the request. New URL search params. And Randy with another 100 bits. Thank you very much, Randy, for all the bits. And basically we're going to create some key value pairs that have all of these things inside of it. So we're going to have that. We're going to have feed type, which is JSON. And we're going to have version, which is 1. Randy with another 100 bits. Randy with all the bits. Thank you very much, Randy. Awesome. So these are the parameters that I need to call on this endpoint. But instead of passing in demo key, I actually want to pass in my specific API key. Randy with another 100 bits. Thank you very much, Randy. So what I need to do is I need to get an actual API key and load that in here. And this project is already using a package called .env. So technically what I can do is I can say process.env.nasa API key. And Randy with 1,000 bits. Thank you so much. You're too kind. I appreciate you. So what this says is we're going to read NASA API key from my environment. And I'll show you right now, we have a super basic .env. We're just specifying the port. But in here is where I will put my API key. I'm going to go get the real value, but the real value is going to go in here. And this is stuff that I set up earlier, but if you look in the app.js, you can see that it's already bringing in .env, which is a package which will attempt to read in this .env file if it exists, and then put those variables on your environment. Someone in the chat asked about where API v1 is specified. That's specified right here. So this is like the root of my Express app, and we're putting all of the API endpoints behind API v1, which is why when we look in here, it's API v1 emojis, API v1 Mars weather. Cool. So I'm going to hide my screen for a split second. Randy with more bits. Thank you very much, Randy, for all the bits. Funny dude with 1,000 bits. So much support. So much support. Thank you, everyone. You were basic, like... I'll say this. I'm doing this for a YouTube video, but the amount of bits that you've given me is more money than I would make in YouTube ads for like several thousand views. Way more, and I appreciate you. This is why I stream on Twitch and why I basically don't really make YouTube videos, because people support me here, and I appreciate you. What am I doing? I'm getting my actual API key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that .env file where I specified that like junk API key, and I'm going to put a real API key. That's what I'm going to do now, and you won't be able to see it. Hopefully, hopefully I'll keep it hidden. So I'm setting my API in. So in that .env file, I'm setting it. And thank you very much, Callum, for those bits. And now I think we're ready. I think we're ready to make it happen. Bald bearded builder, what's up, dude? Who says it must be crazy windy outside because those clouds are moving. Yep, that was the Denver skyline. Here, it's a time lapse. I don't know what is time. Okay, so like I mentioned, I put my real API key into that env file. So now when this route gets hit, it's actually gonna have something. Now, from inside of this API, I want to make a request to this other API. And for that, I could technically use some core modules to do it, but there are some NPM modules that will make my life a lot easier. So I could use Axios, I could use node fetch, I could use many other things. I'm going to use Axios because it's the one that I'm most familiar with. But basically, we just need something that will allow us to make HTTP requests. So I'm going to install Axios, just like that. And now that we have it, we can bring it in. So in this particular endpoint, I'm going to bring in Axios from Axios. And then now we can make the request. So when a client makes a request to our server at API v1/Mars weather, it's going to go into this request handler. We're then going to make a request to the NASA API. So I'm going to make this an async function. And we're actually going to put this in a try catch because it's possible that their API will fail. That the API call will fail. So I'm going to try and then catch it. If there was an error, then I'm going to forward it on to my error handler, which will automatically respond and set the right status code and all that good stuff. Okay, so I will say we're going to extract out the data from axios.get. We need to make a GET request to that base URL. Followed by these params. And I can just do that. That will automatically call toString, and that will turn these URL search params into a query string separated by ampersands. So that should make the request. And then once I get back the response, I'm actually just going to respond with it. I'm just going to say res.json data. So basically, a GET request comes into my server. I then make a request to the NASA API here. I get back the response, and then I send that response to the client that made the initial request. Now, if I've done everything correctly, this should just work. Now, whenever I request from my local server API v1 Mars weather, that should respond with the Mars weather. So behind the scenes, it actually made the request to the NASA API, gets back the data, and then it responds to the client here. But you'll notice there is no API key in the URL, right? So I technically could write a front-end application that calls this endpoint, and that way nobody can see my API key. It's hidden behind the scenes. And this gets back to the actual question that was asked, which is there a way to prevent others from accessing your API? So at this point, we've protected the API key. At this point, it's behind the scenes. Nobody can see it. I could put this Express API on the web, and people could make requests to it. However, people could technically spam this endpoint, right? You could write a script that just hits this endpoint over and over again, and eventually it would exhaust my rate limit for the NASA API. So there's a couple of things we can use to help with that. And so I'm going to point you to the Express rate limiter. And then there's another package that's very similar, which will allow you to increase the timing of a response if people are making tons and tons of requests. So the first one is called Express Rate Limit. And also, yeah, caching is another thing. Thank you, Unicorn Hunter. So right now, and I'll show you this. Right now, if I refresh the page, technically that makes another request to the NASA API and then sends back the response. But what if, I mean, this is the weather on Mars. I probably only want the latest data, like, what, every 10 minutes or something like that? So we could create a cache. I think I'll start there. Caching is probably the first step to reducing the number of requests to the API that you're calling. And I'll just do this. I'll say the cache, and in this case, it could be very simple. I could just say cached data, and that starts off as it having no value. And what I can do is I can say at the beginning of this response here, and also I could store like the cache time. So I'll say if cache time is a thing, and the cache time is greater than right now plus some offset. So let's say we want to refresh the cache every 30 seconds. So I'll do 30 times 1,000. So no, I'll do minus. So the current time I messed up. Minus 30 seconds. Current time minus 30 seconds. If the cache time is less than that, then I want to get the latest data. And actually, so if the cache time is greater than that, then I'll return the cache data. That's what I'll check. Because otherwise, because then I can just do return res.json with the cached data, like that. So basically, this will first check, hey, are we in the cache? And if we are, just return that cache data. But then if we're not in the cache, we're going to make the actual request. Right here, I'll say cache data equals data. And then I'll say cache time equals date.now. And that way, the next request will use the cache data. And technically, to be consistent, I should like put a return here and put a return here, so we have consistent returns. And I think I did this comparison right. And let it be known that this is just a in-memory cache. And this is okay right now because it's very simple. But if you're calling a lot of different API endpoints, you may not want to do this in memory, because basically I'm just holding on to this variable. And if the API ever goes down, I will have to make a request again. You can store your cache in something like Redis or MongoDB. This is like the simplest way of doing it. Okay, let's see if this works. And also, we're going to just attach a property to it to let us know that it worked. So we'll say data.cachetimeTime equals cache time. Hello, Wolfie. So now if I make this request, it has to hit the API because that's the very first request. And if we go all the way to the bottom, the cache time. So the cache time is Wednesday, June 24th at 10 a.m. GMT -6. And if I refresh this, because it was less than 30 seconds ago, we can see that the cache time is still stored there. And if I'm clicking refresh now, right now, and it is instant, like it's instantly happening. But in about 30 seconds, when I make the request again, it's going to have to request the API again. And there we go, it did it. So now we can see that the cache time is like right now. It is Wednesday. So this is like the first form of protection is instead of hitting the API all the time, you can now cache it in memory. Now you also could use a database or something like that. The next step is rate limiting. So Express Rate Limit is a package that I've used. And I like it. There are other packages that will do a very similar thing. And I'm also going to show you Express Slowdown. But Express Rate Limit is very easy to set up. You basically just say how many requests you want to allow a given IP address per time window, and it will throw errors if you request more than the amount that you're allowed. So I'm going to install this in my backend here, Express Rate Limit. And then we can set it up on this particular route. So we can say rate limit, we're going to bring in, and yeah, this is definitely something you need to do if you're deployed like on Nginx. I think you might even need this on Heroku. App.set proxy one. So trust proxy. So if you set that in app.js, like when your app first spins up, what that says is when your app is behind a proxy, the proxy will typically set the header that says X forwarded for. And that is actually the IP address of the requesting client. And this says we should trust that header because this code is actually running behind some sort of proxy like Nginx or whatever else, or a load balancer. Okay, so we're trusting that. And when we deploy, that should make sure that we're rate limiting the right IP addresses. If we don't do this, it's possible that we rate limit local hosts because it's behind a proxy, and then every single request is rate limited instead of just each individual IP address. Cool. So now we set up our rate limiter, and we can set up a time window. So we can say every 30 seconds, I want to allow 2 requests per IP address. Now you can increase this, you can decrease this, but basically what this will do is it will keep track of the number of requests that have happened for the route that you set it up on. And if someone exceeds more than 2 requests in the past 30 seconds, they're going to get an error. They're going to get a 429, which is too many requests. And I believe, yeah, we can just set it up like this. So if you're not familiar with Express middlewares, you can actually just put them right inside of your routes. So we're saying we request the route. Right now we just have the handler. But if I put this rate limiter right in between, now we have essentially rate limited that endpoint. So we've said that only 2 requests can happen every 30 seconds. And if more than that happen, then it's going to throw an error. So let's try it. So now if we go back, I should be able to request once. We get the data. I request again. But if I request again, too many requests, because that's more than 2 requests in the past 30 seconds. So basically the rate limiter is preventing people from spamming your API. So we have a couple of levels of protection. We're now caching the data. We're now limiting the number of requests that people can make. And then the other thing that I like to do is express slowdown. And so this really discourages people from spamming your API because it will essentially increase the timing of the response for every request that they make. So if they send like 10 requests back to back, each one is going to take a little bit longer to respond, which is nice. So let's install this. Express slowdown. And it works in a very similar way. And I believe it's from the same person as express rate limit. Yeah, same person. It's great. It works. I've used it for many things, and it works wonderfully. So we'll set this up as well. We're going to add that here. And then we're going to need to set up our speed limiter. So I'm installing these in the backend. So this particular project is an Express project, and it has a package.json that's keeping track of all these dependencies. So you can see there's Axios, express rate limit, express slowdown. And whenever I deploy this, it will see that wherever I deploy it to, it'll see that package.json and know what dependencies to install. Okay, so we need to create a speed limiter. And so I'm going to do over... And actually, I'm going to allow 10 requests every 30 seconds. So that's the limit that I'm going to do. And then I'm going to allow... well, for each request over the next 30 seconds, I'm going to increase it by 100 milliseconds each. So, and we're going to do... and we're going to delay it after the first request. So, after the first request, every request after that will be, the response time will increase by a certain amount. So I'm going to increase the response time 500 milliseconds. That way it will be like really noticeable, because after the first request, it's going to take 500 milliseconds more to respond with the next one. Then it's going to respond with within a second, then 1500 milliseconds, and then 2 seconds. So it really slows down the responses and prevents people from spamming your endpoint. So I'm going to first do the rate limiter, so that prevents a certain number of requests, and then after that, I'm going to do the speed limiter. And so we're now going to allow 10 requests within 30 seconds, and within 30 seconds, each subsequent request from the same IP address will be slowed down by 500 milliseconds. So now we should get back some data, and then it'll take 500 milliseconds to get back some data, and then a second to get back some data. You can watch the thing here to see how long it takes, and then 1500 milliseconds, and then 2 seconds. Actually, it'd probably be better to show this like Insomnia, because you can actually see the response time. And essentially by doing this, we're discouraging people from spamming requests to our server, because our server will slowly get less and less responsive to that particular IP address. So the response time here was 249 milliseconds, then 500, then we should see 1 second. You can see the total response time here, and then 2 seconds, and then 2.5 seconds. So basically, if this was a baddie, if this was a bad guy who was just spamming our API, they would slowly be slowed down. But then after 30 seconds, they're no longer limited. Then it goes back down to the original response. So I think these are the main things that you can do. You can do rate limiting, slowing down requests, caching. On top of this, you could also create your own API keys. And so I'll show you how you would do that really quick, but all of these things I'm showing you, you could basically get a database involved as well, because right now, these are only limiting by IP address, but maybe you want to limit by user account. So that way, if a user is logged in from 2 different IP addresses, you still rate limit that user, even though they're calling your API for multiple things. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, last thing I'll do is I'll set up my own API key. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to create an object called API keys. And this is just like in memory. Of course, you would like want to put these API keys in a database. Maybe you could associate them with a user or something like that. But I'm going to have Would I create a rotating key? Possibly. You also could just do like GUID IDs as your API keys, as long as they're not guessable and they could be looked up in your DB. And technically, if you're already using auth, you could use something like a JSON web token. What's up, Flu? Welcome to the show. But actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a new map. We learned about a map earlier. But maps are basically like objects, but they're nicer. So I'll do api keys.set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to set that to true. So this is basically going to be a map of all valid API keys. And happy Wednesday to you, Milky Dev. Thanks for being here. But this is all valid API keys. And then I could write my own custom middleware that checks to make sure that there is an API key in the request. So I'm going to create my own middleware here with recres and next to validate the header. So I'm going to say the API key comes from the header x-API key. So I'm going to require users that are calling my API to specify a header called x-API key, and then I'm going to validate that. So I'm going to say if API keys dot has this particular API key, then we're just going to call next. Then that means everything's good. Go on to the next middleware, which is actually going to make the API request. Otherwise, we're going to throw an error, or we're going to forward an error. So we're going to create a new error, and we'll say invalid API key. What's happening, John, is content. Content is happening right now. So we have this error, and then whenever you call next with an error, or with a parameter, that actually will skip all of the request handlers below it, and that'll go immediately to my error handling middleware, which will just respond with an error here. So what we've done with this is in this middleware, we're checking for our own API key. So we want to make sure that anybody that requests our API is using the API key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if they're not, we're going to respond with an error. So now in Insomnia, if I make this request, it should give an error. Invalid API key. But if I specify the x API key header, and actually, if I put it to something wrong, it should still say invalid API key. But if I set it to that API key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we then actually get back the response. And as you can see, I actually put that API key validation middleware behind the speed limiter and the slowdown, because if somebody is trying to just brute force API keys, it's gonna take longer and longer for them to be able to validate if they're brute forcing in the right way, because this API key validation is behind the limiter and the rate limiter and the speed limiter. Cool. Now, like I mentioned, you would want to store these API keys in a database. Maybe you could also validate by user. All that good stuff. Right now, it's super simple. It's just looking in the map, but this gives you an idea of how you would do that as well. I think, yeah, so the middlewares, in this case, go in order. First, rate limit the number of requests by IP address, then increase the response time based on the number of requests that IP address has made in the last 30 seconds, then validate the API key, and if all is good, we'll do this. And if we've cached the data, we're just going to respond with our cache data, and if we haven't, we're going to actually make the API request. Great. No, they wouldn't. So if two people with different API keys try to access, they're going to be rate limited initially by their IP address. So as long as they're calling from two different IP addresses, then they will not be rate limited. The request will just basically happen. Yeah. Cool. I think that's it. Thanks everyone for watching this. And this all started from the question, which was, how would you secure an API without any sort of user login? I think I would start here. I would basically say, cache your data for one, because that will prevent you from running out of your quota limit for some API that you're calling. Number two is do rate limiting by IP address, and then also slowdowns by IP address. And then beyond that, you can start to implement your own authentication on top of your API, which is setting API keys, or potentially even checking to make sure that a user is logged in. But ultimately, this endpoint that we've created, you can now create a front end behind this. You could create a React app or a Vue app that shows the Mars weather, but it doesn't exhaust all of your available quota for the NASA API or whatever API you're hitting. Cool. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm sure I missed a lot of questions and stuff, but I think I'm gonna acknowledge the follows. I might check out your project Infomath. We'll see. But we got a lot of follows. Thank you everyone. Welcome to the Coding Garden. Thank you to Randy Wharton for, first of all, for all those bits. Your bit giving will be forever immortalized on this YouTube video that we upload. And Lakin, thank you for that follow. Raccoons, Synchromatic, Grytrine, Bayesian Choice, thank you. Input Senpai, Vibracogs, Guacamolis, Cyril, Sagerella, thank you for the follows. Lives Matter, thank you for the follow. Neuralocity, Seabear, Dragon Shooter, thank you very much. Shadowkill, Vortim, there's a lot. IOP, thank you very much. Zovek, thank you. Flying Nun, thank you very much. Gone Insane, thank you for that follow. 420 Max, Commodore Dragon, Stranded Enigma, I Love Use, thank you, and also SNRSE, thank you for the follows. We got a Hydrate, thank you Wolfie for the Hydrate, and Seabear with the 1500 bits, thank you so much. Cheers. Callow Creation, what's up, dude? Yeah, everyone should check out Callow Creation. He's a member of our Live Coders team who says, awesome stuff. I learned at least 2 new things today. What is my opinion on using a manual cache instead of cache control? You would probably set up both. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because basically you can tell the browser that it should use its locally cached version. So you should definitely set up a header. So the cache control header is looked at by the browser, and if it sees that it hasn't been that amount of time since the last request, it'll automatically pull from its own cache. What I'm doing is I have a cache on my server that I'm serving from anyways. But yeah, that's a really good point, is you should probably set the cache header as well. I'll leave this as a comment. BT dubs, set a cache header. So browsers work with you, basically. And thanks again, Seabear, for those bits. Are we having an off-topic chat about the entropy chat messages? Oh, okay, cool. That sounds good. Good morning, nothing as is. We're about to go, though. Yeah, I'll upload this. I'll create a Mars weather API repo on GitHub, and I'll post the link on Discord. Hello, smiles. I need a better keyboard. Well, I'm trying. Hello, King. We're usually I answer questions, but I've been streaming for about 2.5 hours, so I'm gonna go now. Yeah, very welcome, Callow. Okay, Doc said, I've got to wonder if express slowdown is a good idea. You should just immediately reject, in my opinion, or black hole the IP address. If you deliberately keep connections from a DOS open, you're battling your network connection against attackers. You want to block as quickly and early in the network path as you can. That makes a lot of sense. And so basically what Doc is saying is these slowdowns and these blocking of IP addresses should happen in like a firewall, or should happen much earlier in the process instead of inside of my Node.js application, which potentially keeps requests open. I would say this is a good way to get started, but then once you start to configure your servers, you could do things like this. There's also, like, if you're setting up your own Linux server, there's fail to ban, where if you see too many requests in your Nginx logs, you can automatically block their particular IP address in your firewall. But yeah, Doc makes a really good point. This is a good place to start, but eventually you want some better restrictions than this outside of Express. And Dr. Wolf, thank you very much for that follow. Is Kit Boga streaming? We'll see. We need 6 hours, yeah. And King, thank you for that follow as well. 6 hour streams. Stream keys? You want my stream keys? And thank you, Flam, for that follow as well. Oh, thank you, Flam. Who do I watch on Twitch? Probably Seth Drums is one of the people I watch the most on Twitch. So he usually streams around 1 p.m. and I always have his drumming on in the background. Who else? Watch CM Griffin. It's a chill stream. Chill coder. Watch Kit Boga. Shout out him. Seth Drums. Yeah, Seth Drums is great. All right, yeah, we're gonna raid someone. I don't know who it will be just yet, but stick around for that. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry, Informath Music. We were working on other things today, but I will say that we are doing a code review stream on probably Friday, so 2 days from now. And if you submit that particular thing that you wanted me to look at, if you submit that, I can take a look at it during the code reviews on Friday. Alca, oh yeah, of course I watch Alca. I fall asleep watching Alca. Not that Alca makes me fall asleep, but he streams really late. And so I'll be sitting there like in the chat and then just like fall asleep with my laptop open. But yeah, and Boca Dev, thank you for that follow. All right, we're gonna raid somebody. Thanks everyone for being here. We got the raid messages. Everybody ready with those raid messages? Yeah, there you go. Oh, and actually, here's the thing. We raided someone last time, and they didn't know that a raid was happening. They thought it was bots. So let's just say Coding Garden Raid. In front of your message, put the words Coding Garden Raid, so people actually know what's happening. Because there are a lot of you, and for some people that aren't used to that, they think it's spam. I mean, it technically is message spam. Coding Garden Raid! Yeah, and then here's the message. You're seeing it, but there's also emotes that you can use instead of the... or emojis instead of the sub message. Cool. You all have got it. All right, thanks for hanging out with me, everyone. Thanks for asking all the questions. Yeah, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.